The visions in which Ezekiel has been taken to Jerusalem continue and conclude in chapter 11. The Spirit now takes him to the east gate, where the glory of the Lord had gone after leaving the temple. This is the route Jesus will take when he leaves the temple for the last time, crosses the Kidron Valley, and ascends the Mount of Olives. Ezekiel is shown 25 men, officials of the people, 2 of whom he recognizes, perhaps because he used to be in Jerusalem's elite circles. The Lord tells him that this group devise iniquity and give wicked counsel in the city. They say, "The time is not near to build houses. This city is the pot, and we are the meat." What this means is not clear. Perhaps it was obvious to the exiles, who were the original audience. It could mean that because of the ongoing threat of the Babylonians, and perhaps their wicked plans to rebel against them, this is not the time to be building, but instead preparing for war or a siege. Apart from the plan to rebel, this meaning would make the leaders sound rather wise, which does not seem to be the point of this vision. Instead, the meaning could be that, as the best of Jerusalem has already been exiled, their pleasant homes are vacant and are available to the dregs left behind, who see themselves not as dregs, but the choice cuts of the stew that is Jerusalem. Those left behind, especially the leaders, think that they are the lucky ones, the ones who stay in the land and control the temple. Surely the cursed are those who are taken away. This may have been the conclusion of the exiled too, but the message the Lord gives through Ezekiel is that it is the opposite way round. In fact, the exiled are those who he is with and those who he will bless. Those left in Jerusalem are the ones who are doomed. Ezekiel is instructed to prophesy to these 25 men who represent the house of Israel. He takes their words and shows them their true meaning. Jerusalem is indeed the pot, and it does contain meat, but this meat are the corpses of those they have slain in all their wickedness. They themselves will be removed and handed over to foreigners for judgment. Then the familiar, "You shall know that I am the Lord," follows in verse 12. At this moment, one of the officials, Pelatiah, drops down dead. It is a sign confirming Ezekiel's words. Pelatiah means the Lord provides escape. His death signals that this is impossible. Then from verse 14, a word of comfort for the exiles is given. The Lord says that even though he scattered them among the nations, he has been a sanctuary for them. That is, the Lord has been with them and has not been constrained by his temple. When they were removed from the land, they were not removed from his presence. In fact, the Lord promises not only to bring them back to the land, but to make a new people within it. This people will have the capacity to obey him and will get rid of all the abominations which caused their exile in the first place. The Lord will replace their hearts of stone with hearts of flesh and will put a new spirit in them. As we have seen elsewhere in the prophets, this is a new thing the Lord is doing, whereby he recreates or regenerates the human heart so that it is able to respond to him in faith. The visions in Jerusalem end at the end of chapter 11, and Ezekiel reports them to the exiles. In chapter 12, Ezekiel acts out another dramatic sign. The people are left scratching their heads as they watch him breaking through what is presumably his own wall. What does it signify? In the morning, Ezekiel is given the interpretation and enabled to speak. Ezekiel has acted out the exile which is to occur in 586, when Jerusalem will be razed by the Babylonians. The prince referred to in verses 12 to 13 is Zedekiah. He will try to escape in this way, in the dark, and humiliatingly carrying his belongings like everyone else. But the Lord will spread a net for him. That is, he is doomed to be caught and brought to Babylon, but he will not see the land, though he will die there. This predicts that he will be blind when he arrives, which he was. Another sign drama is ordered. Ezekiel must eat and drink in fear. He must portray the conditions of the siege which will come before the attempted escape through the wall. This drama continues to assume the regular visits of people to his house. He is allowed to explain it. Perhaps the people are initially impressed by Ezekiel's sign dramas, his prophecies, and his general silence and confinement, but they are not taken seriously. They are dismissed as belonging to the far future, which is so distant that perhaps they might not even happen. And if they eventually do happen, who would know anyway? But the Lord now assures the exiles that these visions and signs are not far off. They will see these things fulfilled, and when that happens, there will be no more talk of things for the future, for other generations, events which are not their concern. As the Lord says in verse 25, they will be fulfilled in your days, O rebellious house.